welcome back. I'm Frank the Boss, and today we're discussing exciting topic, very interesting topic that every Nigerian wants to listen and want to learn from. It's just like educative topic today. So today I have with me Dr. Christopher Ilogo. So we'll be discussing based on the fact that today is actually June 12th, which is Democracy Day. So I have some questions here to ask our doctor here. So, sir, I think today make it 27 years ago since Nigerian emerged or switched from military regime to democracy. So far, has democracy increased or has it improved the life of Nigerian in any ways?
First of all, I want to thank you for having me once again.
Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure talking to Nigerians, to Africans, and to the world about democracy. Yes, like you rightly stated, today is June 12th, which has become a date in our democratic journey, being the date a democratically elected leader, MKO Abiola, was denied his victory in a democratically organized election, the best we have had in recent history. Yes, I will say loudly,
Okay.
yes. The problem I think we have today is the fact that the age group called the Gen Z, most of you who are in your 20s, in your 30s, even in your mid-30s, 35 years down, you don't seem to know what Nigeria was before the advent of democracy. Like they say, the worst form of democratic government is better than the most benevolent military government. The best military government is worse than the worst democratic government. Unfortunately, history has been wiped off the curriculum of the Nigerian educational system. So you do not know where we are coming from. All you Gen Z scream these days is down with Jonathan, down with Buhari, down with Tinubu, down with any democratic leader. Because one, you have the freedom to say down with anything democratic. Where you didn't have the freedom, where you were mowed down for raising a voice of opposition against dictatorial military regimes, you will not have been able to be screaming down with democratic. Yes, the democratic regimes, democratic governance has opened up the space for freedom in every aspect of our lives. The only thing that is visible to those who are not discerning is the fact that there is hardship here, there is hardship there, and there are no free meals. So to a very large extent, I will confess and I will declare that the advent of democracy has fared better, has done Nigerians better than the era of dictatorship.
Okay. So I hear young Nigerians complain that everything that we benefit today had been done by the military regime. Take for examples like the major road, the highway we fly today, that are being done by the military regime. So I think I will need you to help me educate them more about the military, because most of us did not, I think we were probably very little at that time to experience or understand what the military regime actually looked like then.
Usually my views are not popular with young Nigerians. I've read responses to my interviews online. Down with this old man. It's an illiterate. It's an uneducated man. The things he say, they are not in consonance with modern trends. I feel honored by such insulting remarks, because it's only ripe fruits, beautiful fruits that children hold stones to pluck. Bad fruits, nobody bother about them. The fact that I'm being attacked points to the fact that I'm making points. I'm hitting hard where it matters. I'm saying the unusual. And so it's not always comfortable to hear things that are not the usual, things that are not in vogue. What is in vogue now? Tinubu must go. And nobody ever asked the question, who is coming in? Nobody has ever bothered to ask why Tinubu is not doing better than the Jonathan he himself campaigned to drive away from the throne. Some people had, oh, Peter Obi. What has been restraining leaders? What is it that has been restraining leaders? Now, back to the question you asked. You said in the past, infrastructure was visibly developed by those in government. I give you an example. The Third Mainland Bridge was built by Babangida.
Okay.
And then you have other landmark structures, built by military leaders. I want to tell the world today that a time once when Lagos was the capital of Nigeria and everything was focused here, before regional headquarters were formed. The headquarters of the western region was Ibadan, the headquarters of the northern region was Kaduna, and the headquarters of the eastern region was Enugu. And then much later, they created Midwestern region out of the western region, and the headquarters was Benin. At that time, state headquarters like Akure, they were villages, smaller than this my village, underdeveloped. Outside maybe Zaria, Kano, there were no municipalities in the northern region. And in the western region, just Ibadan, Ile-Ife was a village. There was nothing like, apart from the historic Abeokuta city and other historic towns in the southwest, there were no cities. Today we have Akure, a megapolis. It's as a result of recent creation. Though you may argue that they were created by the military government. Yes. But they became state headquarters, enhanced by governors who were elected, most notably developed by governors from the democratic era. In the case of Ondo State, which I just cited by Adekunle Ajayi, in the case of Abeokuta, and then all other state headquarters were developed by democratic leaders. So why it was so visible that the military were working was that there were a few places that they focused on. And then if you look at school enrollment in those days, Nigerian universities, where you can count them by the 5 fingers on one hand. It is a democratic governance of Awolowo, Zik, and others that brought universities. And then it is the first civilian government of 1979 that expanded, that introduced state universities. Ambrose Ali in the then Bende State, and then Onabajo of Ogun State University. Universities were expanded. And so were infrastructures massively developed by civilian governance. The reason the shout is louder today is because there are more, the space has been expanded. Educational opportunities have been given to the Gen Zs today who are screaming down with Tinubu, down with Monday Okpebolo of Edo State, down with, I don't know of any state where they are not saying down with the governor. And if you bring down all those democratic structures and institutions, what are you replacing them with? A military governor who will mount a roadblock, whose agents will mount a roadblock if they see you with dada hair. The Gen Zs are watching, all bushy beards. They bring you down, use broken bottles to shave you. And if you are driving in a Lexus and they call you a Yahoo boy and they see your girlfriend, the military on the checkpoint will ask the girl to go into their tent. You start doing frog job. These are the things we witnessed under military regimes. The Gen Zs of today are product of democratic structures that expanded the space, educational space, social space, liberty space, and what have you. So in all ramifications, the advent of democracy is far better than the advent of military regimes. The only problem is that resources are limited. As I've often said, Nigeria is overpopulated. Before you tell me that population is an asset, yes, quality population is an asset. I want to stand by the protocols of modesty. This is my hometown, and if you have 1,000 of me in this hometown, you will have 1,000 or more of what I brought to this town. But if you have 950 hoodlums, uneducated, unemployed, unproductive, 950 people, and you have only 50 educated, 50 hardworking, 50 productive people, this town will be more backward. Because the 950 hoodlums will cannibalize and ruin what the 50 are doing. That is the experience we have in Nigeria, where you have out of school children, some of them enjoying being out of school and joining terror groups and joining agberos, joining all manner of hoodlums on the street, looking for contract to destroy. That is an unproductive population. Nigeria is overpopulated. We have in some climes within this country where people who cannot afford 3 square meals are married to 7 women and breeding children like rats, and not being responsible for those children, turning them on the street as Almajiris, as you have in the north, as area boys, as you have in the southwest, as all manner of boys in every part of Nigeria, but worse in the north. When you have such a massive population being bred by unscrupulous Nigerians, I dare say, there will be a struggle for limited resources. The way God created the universe, resources are not actually limited, but God commanded us to go and exploit them, till the ground, make the ground more productive, till the earth, convert it to some good, and mine the minerals hidden deep under the ground, grow crops, grow animals, bring input in in order to generate output. But if you have an unproductive population who are contributing nothing, then the hue and cry you hear on the streets of Nigeria about the government not doing enough will be the norm. What is government? Government is just you and me. The people elected are those to guide us in order to maintain law and order and to channel the common resource to public good. That is the essence of governance. People in governance are not there to line up the followers and be giving them meals on the street and be buying them clothes and panties and be buying them water to bath and then brushing their teeth for them. That is not the role of leadership. The role of leadership is to provide an enabling environment, provide for security, provide for public infrastructure, a level playing field for the masses of the people to engage in productive means in order to develop their country. So the job of developing a nation is an assignment for everybody, not just for government.
Concerning this overpopulation in Nigeria, who to blame? Is it the Marxists or the government? Because people still pour anger and still point fingers to the government, that the government are to blame. They are supposed to put some rules that govern the people on birth control and all that.
My answer to that is yes and no. The blame goes to both sides, primarily to the people. I said in one of my interviews that there's no nation that can develop on planet Earth if the people of that nation have no uniform ethos, uniform religion, uniform tribe, or something that brings the people together, such as liberty in the United States, homogeneity in the population of Japanese, the Chinese being largely the Mongoloid race, and the Europeans being Europeans. I mean, people have to be uniform, people have to be homogeneous in order to think that they can fight for a common cause. If people are different, they pull the center, they pull their nation apart because they have diverse interests. For instance, the Nigerian state, you have the Hausa, The Fulani, previously we say Hausa Fulani. The Hausas have realized that they are not together with the Fulanis.
Yes.
Because the Fulanis, they rule over the Hausas. The Hausas are treated like slaves, second-class citizens. Because no Hausa governor, no Hausa emir, no Hausa king, no Hausa minister. It's all Fulanis. And the Fulanis are in the majority, and the Hausas are in the majority. I dare say this.
But people say the Fulanis are not from Nigeria.
No, you cannot say the Fulanis are not from Nigeria. The Fulanis are from many parts of West Africa. Only that because they are a nomadic race, a nomadic tribe, they move from one place to the other. In the first place, if it's not for the Berlin Conference that divided Africans, Africa as a continent, you would not have had more than maybe 4 nations in Africa. Or, better still, the historical nations that we had, the Benin Kingdom, the Oduduwa Kingdom, the Kane Boronu Kingdom, and then the Hausa Kingdom, which the Fulani has neutralized. The reason why we don't have history in Nigeria. The Fulani leadership has wiped out history so that people will not know that they came from Futajalo Highlands to invade the Bogu Empire, the Northern Empire, to dominate them and to overrule them and to conquer them. I mean, in the name of bringing Islam, whereas there has been Islam in the Borno Empire, the Kane Borno Empire, before the jihad of Uthman Dafodio came to the Sokoto Caliphate, from where they launched out a raid on the rest part of the north that has held the Hausa people captive today. The Middle Belt, they resisted. The TVs, the rest of the tribe, they resisted. And that is why you see them not being Muslims. Meanwhile, the Borno people, the Kanuris, were Muslims before the jihad of Uthman Danfodio. And so when they wanted to extend it there, they resisted. So there was Islam even in the southwest before this so-called Fulani jihad. And that's just a diversion. In the case of the question you ask, who is to blame for the overpopulation in Nigeria? Is it the government or the people? I said both are to blame. And I brought in this angle of division. You know, people taking advantage of tribal settlements, religious settlement to thwart the good principles that the government would have used to enact laws for the proper governance of the nation. You know, democratically elected leaders, they need votes to be able to come to power. And then those very largely populated areas, they supply the bulk of the vote. For instance, the northern part, which is largely held to be more populated and largely held to be more Islamic, they are Muslims. And in Islam, it's permitted that you marry 4 wives, but they forget to add that provided you can treat them, love them equally. They take advantage of that phrase, you can marry more than 1, up to 4, to marry so many wives and then have so many children that you cannot cater for. Some of whom are now turned into street urchins called Almajirins.
So, sorry to cut you short, sir. Is there anywhere in the Quran that said you can give birth to as many children as you can or as you want and not take care of them?
I am not a Muslim. I may not be able to quote the Quran directly. But if I go by what the Bible says, because I'm a Christian, and the Quran, if you look at the similitude between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and because the Bible, the Old Testament came many thousands of years, or 600 years to be specific, after Christ, before the Quran came, it looks likely that the Quran is a copy of the Old Testament because they are almost alike. And in the Old Testament, there's nowhere God limited childbirth. But God said everything has to be controlled. Everything has to be according to self-discipline. God expects us to be in control. Failure to control will always lead to disaster. If you drink too much water, water poisoning. If you eat too much food, you have constipation. Anything that is excess is always bad. So God expects us to dominate, to be in control. So if I interpret the Bible, or as the Quran is likely to say, to that extent, it means having too many children is bad. Children that you cannot cater for. Because the Bible specifically said that a man who is unable to cater for his family is worse than an unbeliever, an infidel. So if the Bible God says that a man who is unable to cater for his family, his wife and his children, is worse than a pagan, an unbeliever, an infidel, then it goes a long way to telling us, to answer your question, that for Muslims and for Christians, any man or woman who brings forth children that he cannot cater for is an unbeliever and is bringing disaster to humanity and thereby disgracing God. But, you know, in the northern part of Nigeria, the allies take it for political advantage to encourage their people, their followers, to breed babies like rats. Babies they don't cater for. And that is the reason why anything that will lead to the education of those out-of-school children, the northern elites don't like it. Because if those children are educated like you and I, they will know their rights. Instead of throwing crumbs of bread at them in order for them to go on war for you, political thuggery, the children will reason that the children of these allies, they are in foreign schools, Oxford University, all manner of private universities, home and abroad, while they are left on the streets without hygiene, without shelter, without food. So education is an eye-opener. So the northern allies don't like it. That's why Jonathan was chased out of power. He established Amajiri schools, model schools, so that they can be educated. They use that against him. Governments that are not courageous enough to do what is right for the nation, for the future of the country, they are to be blamed. They just want to be elected and to reign without doing what is going to promote the interests of that nation. Like Lee Kuan Yew, like Chairman Mao, like other leaders who have turned their countries around. This is the reason I want to say that I admire Bola Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria, because he's doing everything that will make the people to vote against him. That's the kind of leader Nigeria needs. A leader who's courageous enough to take firm decisions that will eventually benefit the country on the long run, not short-term decisions that will just benefit their political ambition so that they can be re-elected. Bola Tinubu has been tackling national malice head-on. They are likely to affect him electorally. But they are likely to take Nigeria to the promised land. There are many things he has not done because he wants a second term and he needs the North. He has refused to tackle head-on the issue of out-of-school children, Amajiri system, Sharia laws, which are inimical to modern governance. No country survives when you have two sets of rules. You have the national legislation, which form the basis of the nation's constitution. Then you have religious laws, theological laws. If every religion insists on bringing in the laws that guide their religion, there will be chaos. The pagans will bring in their Ogun laws. The Christians will bring in their ecclesiastic laws. Just like the Muslims have brought in Sharia laws. Sharia laws to govern non-Muslims. Sharia laws to govern African traditional worshippers. These Sharia laws were made for Arabs in their own clime, not for Africans. These are the things that are dragging Nigeria backward. Our refusal to face facts. People don't want to say the truth for fear of they speak politically correct, for fear of being condemned or being criticized. Sharia law is going to doom Nigeria. Religious laws are going to bring us to the era of the cave. And the end result will be a civil war, a strife, chaos, killings, like you are witnessing now. People kidnap school children and teachers in Oyo, and their demand is Sharia laws. How? So, the blame for the lack of population control in Nigeria is on the people and then on the government officials that are not courageous enough to grab the bull by the horn and say, it's either the nation falls or the nation stands. If we continue to play the mid role, Nigeria will go nowhere. We will be marching on the spot, and at a point, as the world is going ahead, we will be marching backward. Thank you.
How did Nigeria go from giant of Africa, a country that everybody knows, every country around the world admires, like of today now, country like South Africa, Ghana, even European countries, they are tightening their borders for Nigerians. Even visa are very, very difficult. Even with your money, they will still deny you visa. So what really happened to Nigeria?
Because of these limited resources, to say, this is not enough for me and my children. Why should I share it with you and your children? And we are not the same. This is my town. This is my country. This is my state. This is my enclave. God created different races and planted them in different regions. You have left your region, you are in my place, and then you seem to be doing better. And the reason being that, a guy who leaves Nigeria, knowing the situation, and gets to South Africa, that seems to give a better opportunity of US or Germany, we want to strive harder than he would have done in Nigeria. For instance, I graduated from a Nigerian university. I have classmates who are in government, who are directors of bank. How can I be washing toilets in a hotel or working in a mortuary in my country? When I get to Northern Ireland or I get to South Africa, I'm prepared to do those things in order to get the seed money to establish myself. And so most Nigerians in South Africa are doing very well. Forget the fact that some who have no education, who got there by illegal means, are doing crime. I have a son and daughter-in-law in South Africa. Both of them are holding PhDs. So they are doing well in South Africa. Those are not the people that the South Africans are pursuing. They have PhDs. They were invited by that country to develop research for the advancement of that society. But there are those who left here on their own without even primary skills, no skill. When they get there, they sell drugs, they involve in prostitution. Those are the people the South Africans are, but in pursuing those ones, they might wrongly meet the good ones on the street and decide on them. That is the danger of it. So back to the subject. When you come to my enclave, to my climb, and you are doing well, and everybody in my climb is not as educated as yourself and are not doing well, a foreigner riding a Rolls Royce and a native Trekkie, that tendency to develop resentment will come up. And then you have one or two people who have the same feelings with you. You pull yourself together and begin to go against foreigners because you see them as those taking away your opportunity. Like what we call xenophobia, as you have in South Africa now. It's also going on in Northern Ireland now.
Yes.
And in so many other places that are not pronounced. So when that time comes, that time is coming, every country will begin to say, we. In the north, in the mid-80s, before when Nigeria had independence, from Midwest, from an Igbo man could take up a job in the north. But as time went on, they said, no. These are, Southerners, Christians, or this or that. So it has happened in Nigeria. They started resisting. They started making laws so that no outsider is taking for permanent jobs in the north. At a point, they started bringing in Pakistanis and others to replace Nigerians, even in Nigeria. Then at a time when the Northerners began to be educated, even the Pakistanis are phased out. It's a natural phenomenon that as time goes on, when resources are limited, people in a particular enclave will want to push out others who are not like them, believing that they are the reason that they have economic limitations. So it's going to happen for everybody anywhere now. If you have no legal means of migration, if you are not legally migrated and you don't have skills that will establish you on your own as a legal migrant, you will be chased out in no time. It brings me back to what I am saying. People must be of the same race, of the same religion, of the same tribe, of the same ethos to be able to bind themselves together to jointly develop with a serious commitment their environment, their country.
So, will Nigeria regain its reputation as a global power?
Nigeria, as it is presently constituted, will never regain its reputation as a global power. In the past 10 years, there has been a scramble for expansion of the United Nations Security Council, because the members of that Security Council is only limited to China, Russia, outside China and Russia, then the United States, the rest are Europeans, France, Britain. I mean, Security Council, United Kingdom, France, not even Germany, the USA, China, Russia. It's not representative of the demography of the planet, or even the regionality of the planet. There's no African country in the Security Council of the United Nations. So Nigeria was a very viable candidate in every respect, with the largest population, with the largest GDP, and then with the most contribution to the affairs of the United Nations in terms of peacekeeping, and then with the largest human resource, I mean, quality manpower. But in the past 10 years, the fame, the status of Nigeria has been eroded progressively, to the extent that Egypt, South Africa are now more qualified, more considered. Nigeria is not even being measured again to be members of the United Nations Security Council. So the question you ask, as the giant of Africa, is the fame, is the status of Nigeria waning? The status is going down the drain. I say this before Bola Tinubu came in. Nigeria's foreign reserve was just $300,000. $300,000. I mean, is it 3,000? Yes, $300,000 or $3 million. So now it's about 35. You know, it has grown. That is one aspect for recognizing a nation. Now you can use your phone and buy something anywhere in the world, and the naira will be converted to that currency, and it will be shipped to you. But when our other Buhari, when our foreign reserve plummeted, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. So Nigeria has plummeted in so many. Okay, the bulk of the people being driven out of South Africa are Nigerians, and so it is in every country of the world. Why are Nigeria flee? A giant cannot have his children flee to smaller animals, Liputian's homestead to feed. How can the lion's children run to the goat to suck breast milk, when the lion is so strong enough to kill goats and feed its own cubs? When you see the lion's cub running to the goat's kids to struggle for food with them, then is that lion a lion? So Nigeria is going down, and it's going to continue to go down as long as we do not reenact our future. And the best way to predict the future is to reenact it. And the reenactment involves us sitting down in a conference and deciding on which best way to go, one of which is regionalism. Let people govern themselves. Look at the EU. The members of the EU were independent countries. France is a nation on its own. Look at Germany. Germany is about, is not the third largest, is the largest economy in Europe, yes, apart from Russia. Russia is not part of Europe.
Yes.
So, and you say, look at Denmark, Germany, France, UK. UK is not there. Netherlands, Switzerland, name them. They are all in EU as one block, as one country. EU is one country of many nations. You get a visa, a Schengen visa, you go to anywhere in Europe. Even the countries that Schengen does not cover, countries that Schengen visa does not cover, when they see you with a Schengen, they allow you. I'm a living example. When I have Schengen and I go into some part of Eastern Europe that are not members of EU, when they look at it, they allow me. So why is EU the third dominant economy in the world after the United States and China? EU is next as a bloc. Why? Because they are independent countries joined together as one nation. Economically, by defense, by visa, by everything. That's what we want for Nigeria. Let there be a North Central region developing at its rate, Northeastern region, Midwestern region, or even Edo State. Let them all be developing at their pace, and then reserve some of the central duties to the center, like defense, foreign affairs, customs, and so on and so forth. You will see Nigeria becoming the giant that God created it to be. But as long as we are in this so-called pseudo-federal systems, fake federal system, we will continue to drive the nation apart. We will continue to drive the nation apart. I want to make one remark that is trending in the social media right now. I see people lamenting that they kidnap people in Borno State, school children, and they kidnap people in Oyo State, school children. Yes. But the one in Oyo State is drawing more national concern to the extent that the federal government sent a powerful delegation to Oyo State to commiserate with the people, and the press, everybody is carrying the Oyo own, and there is silence in the Borno own. Shame on those who are making this campaign. Shame on the people. Shame on the people of Borno. Shame on them. I'm saying it publicly because they are the creator of the terrorism we are experiencing in Nigeria now. They're only exporting it to other people. The people benefiting from terrorism by Boko Haram and bandits are the people from the northeast who brought in terrorism to this country. Now, they kidnap their own people. And then they left their place and kidnap our own people. We are crying that they have brought in the evil of terrorism to us. They kept quiet about their own terrorism by themselves, for themselves. And then they have the guts to come out to complain that why are we crying? Why are we not crying for them? Please reason this together. Reason this with me.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. You are the one kidnapping our people. And let me tell you, there's a latest report that over 5 trillion has been collected by Fulani kidnappers and other bandits in Nigeria, and collected from us and everybody, especially from the south. And this money is higher than the national budget. So they are all our labor is now being transferred to criminals from one section of the country largely. And I hear some people say, there are even native kidnappers in all this Edo, Kogi, and all that. Of course, they will need agents. They will need informants. But the real kidnappers are still the same people who started the process of kidnappers. And let me say this again. There are some people copying like Sheikh Gumi. This is a message to him. He's copying what happened in the Niger Delta, when the Niger Delta militants were fighting against the pollution of their environment, the denial of their people from having access to their natural means of sustenance, the water as fishermen, the land as farmers, that was being polluted by oil, whatever, that was causing sludge everywhere, killing the natural habitat, killing the fish, and polluting the soil. That's what they were protesting against. And the fact that this resource from oil is being taken to other places, and the owners of the oil wells are all from other regions except their region. So that was an economic agitation. If you do a little thing to comfort them, they will leave. Sheikh Gumi and other garrulous northerners are comparing that with what these criminal herdsmen and bandits and terrorists are doing in the north, saying that they should be called to settlement so that we meet their demand, inclusive of a ban on Western education, imposition of Sharia. Can that be compared with?
Should Sharia law be imposed to a Christian body?
That's what Sheikh Gumi is saying, that they should discuss with the bandits who are murdering people, who are killing their own people, and killing us, and kidnapping us, and raping our women. They should be called to a conference table, and they should be asked, what do they want? What Sheikh Gumi forgets is that the Southeasterners can also turn to terrorists against the whole nation and against Northerners.
Definitely.
The Edo people, the Bende people, the Kogi people, everybody, Yorubas can also turn themselves to terrorists, and then say, Sheikh Gumi will ask Yoruba terrorists to be called to the table, Igbo terrorists to be called to the table, to ask them what they want. And if they say, we want the head of every woman in Nigeria to be beheaded, we grab that of them. For which peace are we trading that? Comparing them with the Niger Delta agitators. How can? And everybody is keeping quiet. And the problem in Nigeria is the fact that those who should speak are keeping quiet. For people like me, I want it to be noted. 2 Sundays ago, I was 65 years old. I don't need anything anymore. The only place I'm looking at now is where I'm going. I've lived my life. You kill me because I spoke out the truth. You are wasting your time. You have only escorted me to my paradise, timely. But you cannot even kill me. Because God is a God of truth. And He protects all those who speak out the truth. And He spit out, He vomits those who refuse to say the truth, who sit on the fence.
So why is Shegumi still working freely and not being arrested? And someone like Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, and up to now it has not been released.
Shegumi is still walking the head freely today in Nigeria because he's being protected by the same impoverished population of the North. I hear them say Tinubu is denying the North of development. Tinubu is denying. Which Tinubu? Buhari was there for 8 years. If a president can bring paradise to his region, Buhari should have done that. He was very nepotistic. Tinubu said it's a continuation of Buhari regime.
Yes.
So if he's practicing nepotism like Buhari, why is the North complaining? Me. Tinubu is not favoring Edo State. I'm an Edo man. But he's doing exactly what Buhari did, even to a lesser scale. I have no quarrel with that. Your tribe man being in power will not bring anything to you. We will buy the same fuel at the same cost price. We will suffer together. The issue is that we need good leaders, courageous leaders. Are you not surprised that I, as a Christian and an Edo man, I have never met Tinubu in person? And I've never been a sympathetic man with APC. I've never belonged to any political party. I am saying I admire him for taking courageous decisions, doing things that we want leadership to be doing in Nigeria, by taking unpopular decisions. You know, churning up policies that are not popular, but that will take us to the promised land on the long run, not on the short term. So, to that extent, I think I like what Tinubu is doing, and I want him to carry on in a second term. The Northerners have no reason. Shegumi is still walking the street because Tinubu wants a second term. You see, nobody can be president of Nigeria without the other regions. And here Northerners boasting, we have the population, we have the number. Which number? No Northerner can be president of Nigeria without the South. In fact, nobody can be a president in Nigeria. We have 6 geopolitical regions without winning in 4 geopolitical regions. And the North has 3 geopolitical regions. The South has 3 geopolitical regions. If you do not win 5, you cannot be president. If you do not win at least 25% in all of them, you cannot even be president. So if Atiku today who want to die running for presidency when he has nothing to offer, Atiku has nothing to offer. And from what I hear, he's so broke now that he is trying to sell vice presidential ticket, looking for the greatest buyer, like Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State, who brought in the Delta money, including loans, to buy the position of vice president, when it was clearly stated under his leadership in Delta State then that the next president of Nigeria after Buhari's 8 years will have to come from the South. Ifeanyi Okowa, in his selfishness and blindness, sold that unified decision by the southern side of Nigeria in order to get vice presidency, which never came to be. And that is why forever I will continue to admire Ezenwa Yason Wike. Nigerians need such people. Principled men. Whether they are garrulous or rude or crude or with coarse voice, it does not matter. Courageous men who stand on the ground of principles, no matter how it disfavors them. Therefore, Shegumi is still working a free man. He himself knows in his heart, as a retired military man, as a medical doctor, that what he is selling to Nigeria is disaster. He is a terrorist. If he is not, let him take me to court. I am Dr. Christopher Ilogo.
Okay. So, talking about the person of Ifeanyi Okowa, I saw recently that he won primaries. I saw that he won Nedwonko, and he has a pending case with the EFCC for missing funds. Why did they allow someone like that to run for an election?
Is the problem with the nation's constitution. I keep seeing one of the reasons Nigeria is not able to really break through in life developmentally as a result of our faulty constitution. The constitution we are operating now was enacted singly by General Abubakar, the military man who took over from Abacha. He actually contracted Awali Nadudu. You Gen Z, you don't know the history of Nigeria. He actually contracted a single man, Awali Nadudu, to write that constitution on behalf of the whole of Nigeria. So our constitution is very faulty. The constitution says that until you are found guilty and sentenced and condemned by the court, even if you commit murder on camera, you are innocent. And as long as you have not been found guilty by the court of the land, you are assumed innocent and can contest any election. What the constitution says is that once you are a convicted felon, a convicted person,
Yes.
you cannot contest. As long as Ifeanyi Okowa, who is facing FCC right now for embezzling billions of Delta State naira, has not been convicted, he is free to contest. And that is the irony. That is what I call perplexities. Ironical situations we find ourselves in Nigeria. And similarly, ex-governor Yahya Bello also passed through the primaries, and his party, the APC, chose him as the man to contest for the senatorial seat available to Kogi West. And he will be facing that woman, Natasha Akpoti, of the PDP in that race, because he has not been found guilty. His case is in court.
Yes.
What of Orji Uzor who was even found guilty? I don't know. The legislature is one of the biggest problems. I mean, the judiciary is one of the biggest problems in this country. The Nigerian judiciary has been highly compromised. That is why people like Orji Uzor, he has been returned. He won the primaries too, to be returned to the Senate. He was actually a convicted felon. He was in prison when another person was having a case in court. They used technicalities to free the man, and it was similar to what Uzor what was used to jail Uzor to convict him. He quickly appealed that if that technicality was used to knock out the case of the person, I can't remember, the criminal who was being tried then, he too need to be freed. His lawyers took advantage of it, and he was brought out of jail. And today he's a senator, a convicted criminal. And so why are you surprised that ex-governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who embezzled billions and billions of Delta State resources to promote Atiku Abubakar, who is bankrupt right now. Buhari bankrupted him. And he sold the vice presidential slot to Okowa in exchange for Okowa to bankroll the PDP presidential election that Tinubu won. And I thank Ezenwa Wike for standing his ground on ground of principles, that it was the turn of the South by convenient arrangement after Buhari's 8 years to produce the president of the nation. And that decision was taken by all Southern governors in Delta State, in the government house under Okowa. Okowa went behind to betray the entire South and bought the vice presidential slot, which was promised to Wike. And so Wike, you may say, is for personal reasons. He stood his ground and quashed the victory of Atiku. And Atiku, such a man, can never be president of Nigeria.
I notice people don't talk much about Atiku.
People are afraid because as I'm talking now, he has the means to take me to court. But like I said, I don't care. You take me to court, let them jail me now. I will die there. What years have I left? Atiku is not fit to rule Nigeria. We serve in the same organization and rose to the same rank in this country. He's not a fit man to. You know why? Atiku knew after he's a Fulani man, after the 8 years of Buhari, and he saw what Nigeria was facing in the hands of Fulani elements, and he still wants to come to become the president of Nigeria in another 8 years. Is that a reasonable man? Especially when it was the turn of the South. And his bulk of support comes from the Southeast. And there was Peter Obi coming from the Southeast. Atiku won't let him contest as a president. Is that a human being? Now, Tinubu has just done, after Buhari's 8 years, Tinubu is just about to do 1 year. And Atiku want to still take it away from him and goes back to Fulani. Nigeria will, even Hausas will be stupid to return to vote for anybody Atiku. Of course, in the South here, there are people who are just going after him opportunity just in case. They all knew in their heart of hearts that there's no room for Atiku to be president of Nigeria. Even at his age, should be ashamed of himself that he still want to. What education has Atiku? What has he done in the private sector that qualifies him? What did he do as vice president to qualify him to run for president? Is he not the one in charge of privatization under Obasanjo? That sold multi-billion naira enterprises for a chicken change to his cronies? Atiku has ruined Nigeria much more than any leader in recent memory, in all memories. He has nothing to present to Nigeria. Is that not the same Atiku? When an innocent girl was set ablaze alive in Sokoto, he released a tweet. And the moment his thugs, those who murder people on the street, criticized it, he quickly withdrew it and denied ownership. Is that the person who wants to rule Nigeria? He may pick a reverend father from the South. Atiku cannot rule Nigeria because he has nothing. He has no qualification of any kind. He has no achievement of any kind. He has nothing. He has no ideology of any kind other than he is broke. And somebody with how many wives? They said, somebody allegedly said he has so many wives at 25. They are all broke and he wants to rule Nigeria to recuperate, to do worse than he did under Obasanjo. Atiku cannot be president. And he is not a just man. After 8 years of a Fulani man, Atiku wanted to rule for 8 years. Now after 3 years of a Yoruba man, Atiku still wants to rule. And he knows that there is no Southeasterners who has ruled Nigeria. Is that a leader? Any leader who cannot reason, who has no sense of justice, who has no sense of sacrifice, can never be a leader in Nigeria, in anywhere in the world. Atiku can never be president of Nigeria. If he becomes one, that will mark the end of Nigeria as we know it.
Okay, talking about Atiku, can Nigerian youths govern Nigeria better than the old leaders we have today in this country?
No. Nigerian youths or Nigerian elders, age will not be a quality to govern well. Age will not be a quality. If age is a quality, what of Yahya Bello? What of other youthful leaders who have been elected who messed up in governance? Age cannot be. Instead, should be ideology, conviction, principles. Principles. I'm not saying this because I'm old. I have rejected political appointments. I've rejected international appointments. I've rejected national appointments after my retirement 6 years ago. And the reason being that I don't think I'm fit enough health-wise to perform my best the way I am known to perform in any endeavor I've been engaged in. I remember in the 80s in Germany, I was appearing in their newspapers because I worked well in the sector where I was being trained because I had to do practical. You know, they call it practicum. I also in Nigeria here, those who are watching me, who have served with me, whether in the bank or in the recent service I don't want to mention, Everybody knows my working ethics. I'm committed to anything I do, even to death, at the risk of my life, at the risk of anything, material or otherwise. There are many people better than me. I have met many people in where I worked who are far better than me, from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west. There are people like that. Those people will not buy votes. They will not scrabble for appointments. Me, I don't want any appointment. The only thing I can do is to counsel the younger people. I'm actually a counselor all over the world. I'm a psychologist. I counsel people on better behavior, better work ethics, and better principles. That's all I can do. I can be involved in governance by being a counselor, by being an advisor. But to the extent of age being a factor in good governance, no. It has to be you, your principles, your morality, your skills, your knowledge. Because without knowledge, you can do nothing. You can't give out what you don't have. I want to emphasize this. Whoever wants to govern a modern country and take that country to the heights of development has to be knowledgeable, has to be highly educated, has to be visionary, has to be God-fearing, has to be hardworking, grit, one who can persevere, one who has emotional intelligence, one who has self-control, one who has, most importantly, emotional intelligence. Because without emotional intelligence, you get carried away by religious nonsense, by ethnic bigotry, religious bigotry, shallow-mindedness. You get tossed by people who are political jobbers. They come, they give you advice, you take it, probably because they are of your ethnic stock or your religion. And your pastor or your imam will give you a useless advice and you will take it. You have to be very sharp. You have to be educated. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to be intelligent. You have to be sharp. You have to be courageous. You have to have a vision, because what you cannot see, you can never aspire to achieve. So anybody who is going to govern Nigeria will not just be a social media giant who makes noise, but should be somebody who has ideas, who has foresight, who has vision, who has knowledge, who has skills. You must have a skill in an area. If you're a medical doctor, be good at it. If you're an engineer, be good at it. If you're a sociologist, be very good, be insightful. If you're an accountant, be very sound. You have to be sound to be able to govern a nation like Nigeria. Because let's not undermine Nigerians. Nigerians are very intelligent, including the uneducated ones. But some of those intelligence is channeled in the negative direction. So you have cunning men who will come and use cunning to deceive you, and you fall for it. It will not take Nigeria forward. So it's a good governance in this country is not going to be based on how young you are or how old you are.
Okay, so I think we'll call this a wrap.